Hello and welcome to our Migraine Freedom Retreat. I am Debbie Waidl, your migraine freedom expert, here today with Brenda and Tammy for today's session on exploring the truth behind supplements and prescriptions. Now, before we get started, just a little bit of quick housekeeping. Please remember that today's retreat session is for educational purposes only. Any changes that you want to make to your health should first be discussed with a member of your healthcare team. All right, now let's get to the good part. So Tammy and Brenda, thank you so much for being here today to share your experience and expertise with so many women who are still searching for answers. I really appreciate your time today.
Glad to be
Thank
here.
you.
Amazing. All right, so let's start with just giving a little bit of an overview of who you ladies are so that everyone knows who they are listening to today. So Tammy, would you like to kick us off?
Sure. My name is Tammy Kelp, and I've suffered with migraines for the last going on about 13 years. Didn't always have them, and it's not a hereditary thing in my family. So when it started, it was like, what's happening with this, But I worked at a high school for 18 years, and lots of students I've seen had migraines. So I knew, but it was surprising that I started such, late in life. But anyway, so then I'm a wife, my husband, and then I have 3 boys, and now I have 2 little granddaughters, which is now the joy of my life. And I did retire due to the migraines, honestly, but it actually was the best thing ever because now I'm just grandma.
Love that. There's nothing better, right? I can't wait.
There's nothing better.
Don't tell my kids that I can't wait, but I can't. I'm trying to be that mom that's not the pressure mom of like, come on, when are the grandkids? But
Yes.
It'll be exciting and wonderful because I sadly missed a lot of their growing up. So it'll be wonderful to have that experience pain-free.
It is.
All right, Brenda, how about you?
Well, I am a wife, a retired teacher, a mom, and a grandma. And I understand the grandkid things, and your kids know it, Debbie, whether you tell them or not, they know it. I started suffering from migraines when I started menstruating, and then went on birth control because, that's what they do with everyone. And then it quit. But then about a dozen years ago, I started having them more severely, and they really just cranked up after COVID, just got totally unbearable. I did the program 3 years ago. Best thing I ever did in my life after trying everything. This was just, it fixed.
I love that. Oh, thank you so much for sharing, ladies. All right, Tammy, let's dive right in with you. So before the Freedom from Migraine method, did you believe that medication and supplements were going to be the solution for your migraines?
Yes, I did, because when they first started, of course, I called the doctor, went and seen my MD doctor first, discussed some things there. And yes, it was just like, here's a pill. Let's give you a triptan. They started with, and at that time, I was only probably about 6 or 7 migraines a month. And so, the triptan immediately took it away. I was lucky in that sense because I had talked to other people that wasn't always the case, but it did work for me. And then eventually, the next thing I know, I'm at 10 migraines a month, and then I'm at 12 a month. And then it's, okay, we better discuss preventative. So then I was sent to the neurologist. The MD doctor said, we better get you set up with a neurologist. Never once did we ever really discuss the reason for my migraines. Of course, they do talk to you about the normal triggers, the red wine, chocolate, the,
MSG.
Yes, your aged cheese, your normal triggers. And they said, let's do a log and let's try all that stuff, which I did. I did all those logs. I never saw anything that, and I didn't take all that. Anyway, so then they said, most of the time, people don't know why you get migraines, that there is no reason. You may not ever figure out your trigger. So from there, then started preventatives. And I mean, the list of preventatives, I basically had tried every single one that they consider a preventative.
Yep.
And at one point I was on like 4 of them. Depakote, which I call the devil drug. Oh my gosh, that was horrible.
Yeah,
To
doesn't make you feel good
Tokamak.
at all.
Yes, propanol, Flexerol, amitriptyline, and then I did the Emgality. There's 2 other ones, Obervay or something like that, and
Bralvi, yeah.
yes, all that. And then I did Botox, and then from there nerve blocks. nerd tag. That doesn't even count the times I had to go to the ER for the cocktails, because I couldn't break it. So all those things. And the next thing you know, I'm still at 17 migraines a month and I'm putting all this junk in my body.
Yeah, taking something that they call a preventative.
Yes.
And if we look up the word preventative, right? I mean, it's supposed to stop something from happening.
Yes.
And you said at one time you were taking four medications that are
Yes.
supposed to be preventatives that are preventing nothing.
Nothing. And that didn't include the supplements that I took, the natural supplements, feverfew to, I don't know, there was several different ones they recommend you trying. I mean, I was on all that plus the medication, and with the medication, getting the Botox and the nerve blocks and nothing. I mean, just nothing. And it was, I got to a breaking point, honestly, until I found this program. It was a bad time for me.
Yeah, it's so hard because we go to the doctor, and as soon as the doctor realizes you have migraines, they're like, okay, let me pull out my pill arsenal. And you believe that, okay, this is going to be the end. This is going to help me. This is going to be the solution. And I was on 7 at one point in time as well, and a lot of them were written off script. So meaning that they weren't actually meant for migraines, but the side effect of them for many people was supposed to help with migraines, so I did the amitriptyline, I did the Imitrex, I was on depression medication, I mean, the list went on. And what I found was my migraines actually went up, and they got worse. And it just kept happening and happening. And they're like, well, let's try this pill. Let's try that pill. So then it was like the combo cocktail, right? Like you mentioned the ER cocktail.
Yep.
I had the cocktail at home. He's like, well, take this one with this one, take these 3 at night, take these this time, hopefully this combination will help. And all it did was make me more of a zombie. I had daily pain for 10 years. So nothing ever took the pain fully away. Even when I took the Imitrex, it might've taken it from a level 8 to a 2.
Yeah.
For a few hours, but it didn't go away. So yeah, same boat. And I'm sure many people are feeling that same thing of, well, the doctor's giving me this med, it's got to fix it, right? So Brenda, you kind of have a little unique experience with medications. You want to share with everyone your experience and what happened with you?
Yeah, I remember when I first started getting migraines as a teenager, triptans were just coming out. So they put me on Imitrex and I thought that was great.
Yeah, it's like Christmas, right?
Oh yeah, it was like, whoa, I can do this for the rest of my life, right?
Yeah.
And then of course they put me on the birth control and my migraines went away. Well, when they came back about 12 years ago, they did the whole go get an MRI, go do this, let's, make sure here's your triptan. Here's your triptan. Great. They never told me that I was only supposed to take so many.
Yeah.
So I was just like popping them and you refill. And they're like, you need to come back in if you're going to keep doing this refill thing. And I'm like, okay, as long as I can have them, that's good. And so then they're like, well, let's just put you on amitriptyline, the preventative that didn't prevent anything, but because it'll help you sleep. If you sleep, then you won't have migraines.
Yes.
And I slept all day, 10 hours, got up, still sleeping walking. As a matter of fact, they had a standing order for Topamax and my girlfriend said, don't take Topamax. It's like Dopamax. You are a zombie. And I was a zombie even with the amitriptyline. So my husband, dear husband, anything, let's try this. Let's try this. He goes, they're always advertising for experimental migraine studies. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to do it. So I got accepted. And then he was starting to freak out. He was like, but they're injecting it into your skin and they don't tell you what it is. So this was like right before all the injectables came out. And he said, let's go talk to your doctor. So we went in and we talked to the doctor and the doctor told me, you are going to love that medication. The problem is you're going to be on it for 3 months and then you're not going to have it available to you because your insurance won't pay for it because it's a new drug and it's going to cost you an arm and a leg anyway.
Yeah.
So let's just up your amitriptyline. So they upped my amitriptyline, which made me more tired all the time. I mean, it was awful. My husband, I would get up in the morning and my husband would look at me and go, are you okay? Yeah, why? Just
Because
dead.
you look like a zombie.
Yeah, and I was no personality, just flat.
Yeah.
And so we decided not to do that. But I remember that after I had been in the program for 3 months and I was starting to wean off and I told my doctor, I don't want to take the amitriptyline anymore. And she said, why? And I said, because it makes me flat.
Yeah.
And so she looked at the prescription. She's like, wow, you're on a really high dose of that. my first reaction was, but you prescribed it. I did get off of that, and it has just been wonderful not to have to be on that medication. My whole life is different because I'm
You're
human.
not putting those toxins in there, right?
Right.
And for those of you that are new who are listening to me for the first time, I am not anti-medication. What my concern is when a doctor puts you on medication with no thought of how to get you off of it, right? Maybe you need something short term, right? Because both of you mentioned, kids, grandkids. I'm sure you had very busy lives, in the education field. You needed something when these migraines first hit. You needed something to get through your day. Okay, fine. If you're willing to take the risk on the med, you take it. But at the same time, you've got to figure out what the root cause is. So the goal is to get off of that medication. Most of these medications are not meant to be taken long term, even though your doctors tell you you can. I asked my doctor the last physical I went, I just wanted to see what she would say. I said, how long can I stay on a proton pump inhibitor? She's like, oh, you can stay on it for life. You look at any proton pump inhibitor, it will tell you right on the box, 2 weeks max. But those are the answers that you get with medications because, of course, doctors are telling you what the pharmaceutical reps are saying. And, there's not all these long-term studies. Brenda, you kind of, proved a little bit of this point. If you had done that study after those 3 months, the reason that your body still wants it is because your body knows it doesn't have to take care of the issue. It's like, hey, cool, you're giving me this med. I don't need to do any work. I'm just going to let the med take care of it. But the problem lies, not even the money you would have had to spend, but the problem lies with over time, you need more of that med. That med doesn't work as well. And eventually it's not going to work at all. But now your body is almost addicted. It's addicted to med. So it's looking for its next fix. If we want to think about it like a drug addict, your body is almost becoming a drug addict. It's looking for that next fix, which is why the doctors keep going through med after med after med, and why you have to get those big cocktails sometimes. We need to get our body off of vacation. It needs to realize, because we actually have morphine receptors in our brain. Our body is meant to handle levels of pain. It's not necessarily, now please don't stop taking your medication right now, everyone. Just like, oh, I have pain receptors, I'm going to stop. We have to get you there, right? We have to reduce that inflammation. We have to get your body ready. These two can talk about it in just a quick second as we talk about the program, but it's a gradual process. Brenda just didn't stop amitriptyline in one day, and Tammy just didn't stop all her meds in one day, and I didn't either. It was a gradual process. As I worked on healing my body, I needed the meds less and less. And then I just had to rip the Band-Aid off and get rid of them all, because any amount of toxicity was going to keep me stuck where I was. So let's jump into what it was like in the program. Tammy, when you were in the program, you jumped in, you're taking all these meds, you're probably thinking, oh man, I can't get rid of these. What am I going to do? So how did the program help you have a different relationship with meds and get to where you are today with them?
Well, there's so much information in this program that I learned that no doctor, no neurologist, even my functional medicine doctor did not tell me or teach us about our bodies like this program. So once I joined and started getting all the information, I mean, in a way, it's almost, it's a shock to you going, okay, that's so true. I didn't think about it like this. For instance, me taking 4 of those medications, you read the side effects for one, but what is it doing to you with 4 of those at one time? What is it doing to my body? And I think that was just such a wake-up call. Like, I think you brought that up one time, Debbie, like, you don't know, there's no study saying, okay, I was on Depakote and Botox and nerve blocks and amitriptyline together. Mm-hmm. There's no study showing what that did to me. It's just studies on one. So that was a huge one for me. And I realized, okay, I didn't like it in the first place. I didn't want to do it, but you're desperate. I mean, you want the pain to stop and you want to live again. So you do it. But, and you trust the doctors, you trust what they're saying. And I'm not saying that there is a place for doctors, there's a place for all of it. And, but in this, there's just so much unknown with migraines. I think on the regular Western medicine, there's just still so much. And in this program, you learn. And there's tools, there's learning the root cause. The time, it takes your body time, which was a huge thing for me. And because I jumped in full,
You did.
running, and I was ready because I was at that breaking point. So, but the tools that you learn, that you are given with the program, the coaching, the constant support, the questions, I was able to get off. I think by my 4th month, I was off almost every med. Now, was I still having migraines? Yes, but I could deal, and I learned to make them not so painful. Until I'm at the point, and now I've been in the program because I'm alumni. So 14 months now in the program. And I still feel like I'm still healing. It's 10 years of migraines. It's 10 years of all this medication that my body, was taking. So I just think the tools that you're given and the support there, it just helps you easily get off all this stuff. For me, that's just such a huge win for my health.
Yeah. And I love that you shared how long you've been working on this, because really this is going to be a lifelong journey.
Yes.
And I don't mean it in a way where it's going to be challenging every day. It really does become like riding a bike. We change our attitude about our body. I think it's probably one of the biggest shifts I see most of our Freedom from Migraine Method members have, is all of a sudden they realize this is my one and only body.
Yes.
And I actually have control over what I do with it. And yes, I can go to the doctor and, they can talk to me about things, but at the end of the day, I get to make a decision. I get to choose how I treat myself. I get to choose how I live. And, Tammy, I'm sure that you appreciate your doctors just like we all do. I appreciate my doctor and appreciate what they do. But when I go to my doctor now, she's so funny. She's like, all right, what are we doing? What are we talking about today? I'm like, I just want the blood work. I just want the numbers. We're all good. And I pretty much coach myself through my appointment. She actually brings in students to come into my appointment. She's always asking if someone can come in, because she's like, this is what we want our patients to be like. But most patients come in and they're like, okay, I have a pain. Can I get a pill? First time she said that to me, I actually said, I will find a new doctor if that's how we're going to act. I came in, I can't remember what it was. I think I was having a little back pain. And I just told her just so she'd know and could mark it on the chart. So would you like a pill for that? No, I don't. This is what I'm going to do. And she goes, oh, those are all great things, right? But we have that control is what I'm trying to say. And I think that's what we learn in the program, that we can make some of these great choices. Like you had, Tammy, you went through the 6 key areas of inflammation. You focused on each one, you put them together. And then by doing that, you were able to reduce those medications.
Yes.
So Brenda, how about you in the program? Obviously we know amitriptyline, you had some things you had to work on and get off of. So how did you find the program helped and support you to do that?
Well, when I started the program, I was having 3 or 4 migraines a week. And a couple months into it, it was down to maybe 1 a week. And I asked you during a coaching call, I want to get off the amitriptyline. I don't want to do it anymore. And you're like, well, talk to your doctor. Best advice.
Yep.
So, but be ready. You don't want to, take it away too soon. So it was like a week later, I had my doctor appointment and I told her I don't want to be on the amitriptyline. And she's like, okay, let's work you off of it. Well, like I said, my whole life changed after that. I woke up. And so the program gave me the tools I need, so I didn't need that preventative. And it also gave me the tools to deal with headaches, now I call them. Occasionally I still get the head pressure, and our reaction is, oh, here we go. And I don't even have that anymore, really. I'm just like, okay, this is what I'm going to do to deal with this and move on from there. And that is so freeing. It's just wonderful. And like you were saying, it's not like when I started the program and had to do modifications, like taking away sugar for a while. And anytime I'd go to a family thing, oh, we're so sorry you're not having dessert. Oh, we're so sorry we don't have stuff without gluten in it. Oh, we're so sorry. And I finally said, don't be sorry.
Yeah.
I look at that stuff and I see pain.
Yeah. It's like
And I
not a
don't
plate.
want it.
Yeah.
And I said, and when you say I'm sorry, it makes me feel like, oh, I should be doing something so that you don't feel bad about it. You feel bad for me, but now you're making me feel bad because you feel that way. So please don't say that I'm fine.
Yeah.
I'm fine. And they don't anymore. Occasionally my mother-in-law will say, I'm not going to say anything. I'm just glad you're here. And I said, thank you. So it's a process of working all the tools, but also enveloping them with your community, your family, so that they can support you also. So the program has been a support, but it's also helped me to gather other support.
I love that because that is so important, right? I remember, my husband would do the same thing when I started reducing sugar in the house, but it wasn't about me. He's like, well, what about the kids? They need to eat that. And I'm like, okay, first of all, nobody needs to eat that, right? Nobody needs those treats and they're not deprived. And if you want to get them something, take them out for an ice cream, take them out for a special treat. I didn't feel bad about not eating it. And the great thing is now with my threshold higher, I can enjoy those things every once in a while. I choose not to enjoy them every day because I know they're not good for my overall health.
Yeah.
Because when I look at my body now, it's not about keeping the migraine away. It's about making me the healthiest version I can be so that I can live into my 80s healthy, so that I can live into my 90s healthy, not live to 90 years old and be in a nursing home or be in a wheelchair having somebody feed me, but be 90 years old on the beach in Maui doing yoga, loving my life. And yes, of course, the happy side effect is I don't have migraines because I live that way. But that's how I make my choices. My choices about sleep and exercise and how I perceive stress and what I put in my body and what, my environment. If more people would understand that, I think they'd have a totally different perspective on their health because, I'm sure you two know, of course, everyone comes to me because they want their migraine gone.
Yeah.
But when I see a person, like when I first saw you, Tammy, I'm like, I want to help her reduce her chronic inflammation so she can live.
Yes.
And she's going to get rid of her migraines along, doing that. But if I'd said that to you, you'd be like, well, no, I don't want to work with her. I want someone to get rid of my
migraines.
But we're going to do that. We're going to do
Right.
that. So obviously, since completing the program, I'm sure for both of you, your view on medications and supplements has changed. We've talked a lot about meds, so maybe we can just hit on supplements really quick. My opinion obviously is meds and supplements are kind of the same. When we need them, but we should figure out why we need them, and do our best to get off of as many as we can. There are going to be meds, ladies, and there are going to be supplements that, some of you may need to take for life, right? You're missing a gallbladder, you're probably going to need some, support in that way. If, like my father, he had a liver transplant, he was always going to be taking anti-rejection meds, right? There's always something that people have to. But I'm assuming during the program, you got a little different perspective on it. So Tammy, what's your perspective now on meds and supplements and how you utilize them?
Well, before the program, yes, I would reach for over-the-counter Advil or the migraine pills, like the over-the-counter ones,
Yep.
And plus take the Triptan, which you only were supposed to get 9 a month. But at some point, my doctor did let me take more. And I was taking them because you just did it. I didn't even think twice. I just didn't want the pain. I just wanted to live. So I took whatever. Honestly, if someone told me, I went to get my mammogram and the lady there, we started talking and I had a migraine that day. And she also had migraines. And she's like, I take blah, 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 blah. And it works great. And I'm like, okay, great. I'm going to go get some. You just did it. I just wanted something to work. Yeah. Now that's not even in my brain anymore. I have to be up there. And I agree with Brenda. I don't really call them migraines anymore since the program. It's really more of a headache here and there. I am still working on a few headaches. Although now I can identify whether it's been a stressful something, or I didn't sleep well that night. I recognize it now. Before, didn't realize all that played into everything that it does. And so now, but I also have the tools that I do everything I can before popping that Advil. And that's really all I take anymore is an Advil if I just can't get it gone and if I need to function that day.
Well, and I love that you said that, because I bet you there was a point in time where Advil didn't touch anything for
did
you.
not touch. It was a waste. I was just putting more chemical in my body to take an Advil, would never touch it.
But now that you've reduced that inflammation, you've gotten the meds out that you don't need.
Yep.
When something like that comes along, you can take 1, maybe 2 ibuprofen, and it's going to take care of it. Obviously, we try all the tools first. We try to do this. But let's face it, there are going to be times that maybe a medication is warranted. I can say that in the last 15 years, I've taken Advil. I've taken maybe only a couple acetaminophen, but it's pretty much I've done it to myself. You know, it's like, okay, you didn't sleep, you haven't worked out all week, you're totally stressed out, you've been hanging over a computer all day long. Well, no wonder you can't get rid of, because mine is always my neck. Like it would get jacked up so bad I couldn't even turn my head side to side. So that might be, I would, jump in and take an ibuprofen. But the amazing thing is it would go away. Yes. But then I would instantly, okay, Debbie, get yourself back on track. Knock off what you're doing. What you were doing wasn't good for you, because then you don't need them. You're not going to need the med again. And that sounds like what, what's working for Tammy.
Well, and also in the program, before the program, I didn't even know what a prodrome was. That's never discussed. I never had my neurologist say, well, do you feel the neck pain? Do you feel, whatever everybody has different ones. Never even was asked that, but I would complain constantly about my neck. In fact, I thought that I had a neck issue and I had MRIs done on them.
Me too.
They never talked about that. That's just a sign that it's coming. Until I joined the program. Well, now I know all of them and I can recognize that and jump in with my tools. So medication is on as far as in the back burner as I can possibly put it. And I try everything when it does happen with the tools I've learned. And as far as I'm concerned, I don't ever want to really take another med for a long time. And I'm lucky that the only thing I do take is a thyroid. I'm working on that with what I've learned from you, and hopefully I'm going to change that too. And I won't be on anything. So it's huge for me. Huge. Yes.
Yay.
Yeah.
Yay.
Very happy.
How about you, Brenda? How's your relationship changed?
Well, I remember when I first started getting my migraines back again, teaching, and my co-teacher said, oh, here, I have some Excedrin migraine. So I started taking that, and one day she was out of it. She's like, oh, we're out of Excedrin migraine. So we just went to the next class because everybody has Excedrin migraine in their arsenal if you're a teacher. Well, I remember it was the end of the year and I got so sick from a migraine, and my husband's like, you're going to the doctor, because he says, I can't watch this. I can't imagine what you're going through. And that's when they put me on the sumatriptan and gave me the MRI and stuff. And then she's like, have you ever looked at the Excedrin migraine bottle? And I said, what do you mean? She goes, look at the warning. So I went home, looked at the warning. It says, may make your headaches worse. And I'm like, wow, that's like saying cut off my arm because my pinky hurts.
Yeah.
And you just don't know, because you think, oh, Excedrin migraine, so it's going to help with migraines, until it doesn't. And then it makes them worse. And, I've had friends who studied Eastern medicine. Take the plant feverfew all over your yard and make a tea out of it. Well, you need like 2 cups of the feverfew to make a cup of tea. So, then you go on the supplement and, well, it's not working. Why isn't it working? Well, it may take 6 months to a year to really feel the effect of it. And it's like, I want relief now, So, at going through the program, there are definitely supplements that help you get further along. I still take some of those, but as far as medication, I'm just like you ladies. I mean, I take ibuprofen or Advil when the tools don't seem to be working that well, and usually that's all I need. You learn what you can and can't have. But when the doctor's like, you need to do this, or here, take this for that. One time I went in and she's like, oh, your heart's a little bit racing fast. Let's put you on this because I think it's supposed to help with migraines too. And I'm like, let's not.
Yeah.
No, not doing that. We're not going backwards to move forwards because I won't move forward. So yeah, my relationship with medication and supplements even is completely different. You're very good, Debbie, about going through, I'm taking this because the doctor says it will help me because maybe my bone density isn't as much as they want, or you do this, take this, and for this and this, and you're like, let's just hold off on some of this and let's work on the migraine part of it and then see what you need after that. Because we are told by our friends, our physicians, try this, try this, try this. And when you're in the throes of migraine, you're like, whatever it's going to take, whatever it's going to take, I'll try that, I'll try that. So yeah, this has really given me a different perspective about not only medication, but supplementation.
Yeah, and I think the supplement part is something that is such a boom right now, because those women out there who don't want to take a pill, who are starting to realize the side effects and the long-term implication of taking medications, they go the supplement route, right? So they're like, all right, I'm taking something healthy. But the problem is, number one, you're not figuring out why you need that supplement, right? We're just throwing a Band-Aid on, we're just taking it. Number two, supplements are not regulated. So unless you really do research on that company and continuously do research, because it can change. You could buy a bottle today and a bottle next week, and the ingredients could be different, so you really don't know what you're taking in there. And then number three, if your body is inflamed, most likely it means you've got a little kidney and liver dysfunction. And I don't mean your kidneys and livers are going to fail, but I mean, just a little sluggish, I guess is a good way to explain it. And then you keep taking supplements, your liver can't process those supplements the way that it needs to get rid of it. So now we're putting tax on our liver. We're raising our toxicity level in our body, which we know toxicity causes inflammation. Inflammation triggers the migraine. So the very supplement that you're trying to take to help you is actually now part of the problem. So we have to really work on reducing that inflammation and determine the least amount of supplements we need. And then, like you said, for bone health, okay, well, how can we shift our diet? How can we add in strength training? How can we take a look at what your stress level is? Because stress depletes magnesium. Magnesium is also needed for healthy bones. So I just rattled off in 30 seconds 3 different ways that we can better your bone health without taking a supplement or drinking a glass of milk. Because believe it or not, there's a lot of things out there that are much better than milk for your bones. So sorry, farmers, I know. I'm not saying milk is bad. For some people, milk is great, but there's so many different avenues, I think, is what's important to think about before you pop that pill. And I just actually talked to somebody today who is spending $400 a month on supplements. $400. Now, even if you're spending $100, let's even drop that down. That's $1,200 a year you're spending on supplements, but you still have migraines. I'm not really sure that's worth it to me. You could look at the Freedom from Migraine method, do it for 4 to 9 months and get to the root cause and not have to worry about spending that money again. Yes. I think we have to really weigh that management tool versus the root cause solution. We really try hard to do that within the program to determine what is the right supplement for you. I mean, I'm sure Brenda and Tammy were totally taking different things and are probably taking totally different things now. And that is exactly the way that should be. If I polled all 60 people in the group right now and said, what supplements are they taking? I can't imagine that I would have 2 people that are doing exactly the same. And that's how we want it, because everyone's different. Everyone is different. We have to look at that individuality. Oh my goodness, I could talk about this topic forever. So we better sum up. You can tell I'm a little heated about medication. I was on so many of them, ladies, and I remember what it feels like. And actually, before we get to summing up, one last thing that I want to mention. You both mentioned something about triptans and the amount of triptans, that you got, the 9. There is a reason that you get 9. And it's not that doctors want to keep them from you. It's not that the insurance companies want to keep them from you. It's because of the severity of that medication. That medication has a big impact on your heart and your organs. So they're trying to give you 9 so you don't take more than that, so that it doesn't basically end up killing you. But what do? I begged, pleaded, cried like baby crying in the doctor's office, snot everywhere, sobbing, you have to give me more with my kids there. It was the most embarrassing thing ever. But the doctor put an order in for more because I was just desperate. I was so freaking desperate. I didn't know what else to do. Fortunately, it wasn't very long after that that I started working on chipping away at my migraine freedom and never really took more than those 9. But think about having daily migraines. I had them daily. 30 days, 9 pills. Math doesn't, it doesn't compute there. It doesn't work out, which is why I was an ibuprofen junkie. I would just pour it and pop it. Didn't even.
I don't think my neurologist even ever said that. I learned that from you. And then I looked into it about the heart damage. That was never talked about.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just, they don't want, all he'd say is, 9 is all we can do. But then he did give me more too. But it wasn't like, okay, you need to know this is going to damage your heart. He didn't say that,
And who has migraines that goes and reads that pamphlet?
Yeah.
Do you go home and read the pamphlet on the medication when you're in pain? You're like opening the package as fast as you can and popping the pill. You're not reading it, and half the time it's not even written for normal people to be able to understand anyway, right? You really need to dive into the studies and PubMed and all that. But yeah, the doctors, I don't know why doctors don't go into it, but they just don't.
They don't. Yeah.
They don't.
And I also had learned so much from you about the MOH part of it. Like even caffeine is considered in that, or antihistamine, all that. You taking all that with all this other, I'm sure a lot. And I was on a complete cycle of, medication overuse, headache. I'm sure half of it was that.
Yeah.
Which they don't talk to you about either.
And just so everyone knows, caffeine is a drug. It is generally classified as a drug. And MOH or rebound, whatever you want to call it, there's so much conflicting information out there as to how much medication you can take before a rebound hits. We don't have a ton of time to go into it today, but I'm just going to encourage everyone to go listen to the podcast that I did on this, A Migraine Freedom Your Way, because the numbers are going to be a lot less than what you think.
Yeah.
What do they tell you? And I think they say you can take 3 triptans a week and you don't get rebound. Well, there's actual studies out there that basically show you take 1 or 2 triptans a month.
And you do.
You can have rebound. Plus, as you mentioned before, Tammy, you got to think about all the meds you're taking, not just one medication. So it's that toxic load that's actually causing the rebound. And your body is saying, well, you gave it to me before, I need it again, bring it back. It's just like a heroin addict, as soon as they run out, they got to go get more. And that's, your body is telling you need more. And that's the medication can be wonderful and life-saving, but it is a dangerous tool when you don't understand it and you don't try to work off of it. So let's try to sum up here, ladies. So we've talked about a ton today. And I know there's women that are listening right now that are heavily reliant on medications and supplements, and they might be really hesitant to believe you guys, to believe that this is actually possible. Oh, it's just 2 of you, Debbie only brought 2 of you on to show this, but what would you share to these women that are thinking there's no way in heck they're ever getting rid of their Excedrin migraine or Imitrex? What could you say to them to give them hope? We'll start with you, Tammy.
Honestly, I think I think I was at the point where I was that desperate mode of nothing was working for me, and I'd done it for years. You just have to trust. I feel like your program, there's enough out there where people can research and see what you've done. Talk to the people in the alumni group. You can message. I've gotten a couple myself from people that are wanting to join and asking. Reach out. It is a wonderful program. I've never been in a program where you get so much support. The team itself of ladies in here is amazing, and they have so much knowledge. I mean, years of migraines that they suffered with themselves. It was so comforting to know that I could talk to you, Debbie, or Barbie, and everybody on the team. They've been where we were. They understand. I'm pretty sure my neurologist has never had a migraine. I just don't think he has, but you ladies do. And I think if you really want to end everything and end the migraine pain and get to the bottom of it, it's the only program that's ever worked. And just give it a try, but also know that takes time and it takes work. I am grateful. I am so thankful that I did try it. I was hesitant and I did research it. I did. And I just thought, okay, what else is there for me? I'm going to give this a try. And I will recommend this to every person out there that truly wants it gone and wants to be healthy. That's the other part. I just feel so much better. I mean, the energy level that I have and the attitude, everything has changed for me. And just so much happier, and that's not going to happen at a doctor's office. That's not going to happen with my neurologist, this feeling. It's not. It's been life-changing, honestly.
Yeah, you need that energy, right? For those grandbabies. You're
I
right.
do.
2 days a week or 3 days a week, right?
3 days a week. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm so
And
glad you can do that with a smile on your face.
Oh, yes.
Thank you.
It is. And it's kind of funny, like Brenda had talked about. I think you just, for such a long time, you expect, it's almost a stress of, when is that migraine coming? When is it happening? Am I going to get that? And I'm finally at a point now, it's like, it just doesn't come into my brain. I mean, I make sure I still do my steps because I feel like I probably need to do that for a little longer, but I don't stress over getting that migraine anymore, and that took a while for that to go.
Yeah.
Because you are afraid. I mean, you struggled for so long, but
it's real PTSD without a doubt.
It is. It truly is.
That's why we have mindfulness built into the program, and we really focus on that a lot because it is hard.
It is hard.
It's really hard to worry about that because they're painful. And once you have that, you feel a taste of that freedom, it's like the pain is worse. You're like, wait a minute. No, thank you. We are not doing that anymore.
I actually said that to my husband. I said, it was about 3 months ago and I got a pretty good one. And it was some things that was happening. And I said, how did I do this? How did I suffer? How did I go through 17 of these a month? When now, I was complaining because you get that taste and it's hard to think going back. Yeah.
It's a good motivator to keep you doing things that are healthy for your body. Right. I want to make sure we stress that before I let Brenda sum up that, even though there is work to the program, you're peeling back layers of the onion, you're peeling back years and years and years of chronic inflammation. It really does become like riding a bike because you feel so good and you enjoy how you're feeling. These things become part of your daily life. I almost think about it like brushing my teeth. Like I wouldn't not brush my teeth every day. And there's some of these things that I wouldn't not do because they make me feel so great, but they're not hard.
No.
Drink water, not soda. Don't have sugar all the time. Don't drink alcohol every day. Get your exercise in. Some of these things they're things we should be doing whether we have migraines or not.
Yeah.
So they're not hard. It takes a little while to get used to and to figure out the ones that are right for you. Like Tammy and Brenda probably work out differently. Perfect. They probably sleep differently. Absolutely great. So it takes a little while to figure that out. But once you get that magic little mix of the 6 key areas, you get to see these amazing faces today smiling like they are.
Yep.
All right, Brenda, sum it up for us. What would you like to share with everyone who still is thinking that we're crazy here?
Well, we're women, so we're crazy anyway.
We are crazy. We're good crazy, though.
I remember when I started the program and got on the coaching calls, and I thought, oh, these ladies I'm in the wrong program because these ladies are taking lots, like Tammy, lots and lots. And I was just taking amitriptyline and triptans. But my thought was, I want to get migraine freedom also. And so I was probably heading in their direction.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought I'm going to do the program and focus on me. Just a disclaimer, I do video editing for Debbie. So all these breakthrough calls and everything, edit down for clips. And it's just so encouraging to see the freedom. And it's not just migraines, like Tammy said, it's other health issues that they're becoming free of and living more full and abundant lives. I'm just so grateful that my husband encouraged me to join the program. He was willing to do anything to help me. And everybody on the team is willing to help. I mean, I think we all do it because we want everyone to experience the freedom that we have. So wherever you're at, whatever you think you can't overcome, give the program a try, because you will be surprised. Like Tammy said, you have to put in the work, you have to put in the effort. But when you get to that freedom, when you see that magic, I call it, of having no pain or reducing the pain, or all of a sudden, wow, I thought I was going there, but it's gone.
Yeah.
You just keep moving forward, and it really becomes a lifestyle.
Yeah. I totally forgot about that. I do remember you telling me when you joined, I don't know if I'm sick enough. You know,
Right.
I don't know if I have enough pain. I don't know if there's, and let's just face it, one migraine is one migraine too many.
Yep.
And even if someone is saying, well, I get one migraine a month, I can push through that. That's no big deal. I want you to stop to think about what your body's telling you. Every symptom that you have is your body's way of speaking English to you. So if you're having a migraine, there is something going on, even if it's only one a month. You might be low level inflammation, and things like, and I promise I'll bring it up on a happier note before we end, but things like cancer and heart disease and all of that, it takes 10 years of brewing in your body. So if you have low level inflammation, you are allowing those things to brew over time. And that's why I know I had 2 autoimmune conditions in my 30s, because my 20s, I lived my 20s, ladies. I enjoyed myself in my 20s, and I deserved every migraine I got. And sadly, it brought me to 30s of being really sick, massive gut health issues, eosinophilic esophagitis, Hashimoto's, migraines every day. But that stuff was brewing all during my 20s. So I want you to stop to think about it. If you are getting one migraine a month, you have something brewing. So even if you think you can push through that migraine, give yourself the gift of reducing your chronic inflammation and getting rid of that one so that you can enjoy your future, so that you don't have to worry about things, in the future that you don't want to worry about. Like these amazing ladies who get to enjoy their grandkids in each and every day without those migraines. So ladies, I can't thank you enough for being here today. I know we went a little long. This is probably so far our longest, but I think this is probably one of our most important sessions because so many people don't know what else to do, and they think that meds are the answer. So I really appreciate you sharing your perspective and your stories with them today.
Thank you. And thank you, Debbie, for this program, because I don't know I can't even imagine where I'd be right now. Honestly, I don't.
I agree.
It's been such a life-changing. It's just, I don't even know.
Well, fortunately, you don't have to find out, and hopefully
Yeah.
somebody else listening will feel that hope today.
Yeah.
I don't know how they could not feel hope from the two of you. So if you are listening right now and you are feeling that hope, but still a little bit of skepticism in the background, please remember we are all here to answer your questions. As Tammy said, just reach out. Just reach out. There are thousands of women still hanging out in the Women's Migraine Freedom Group that, they hang out because they just love seeing everyone else get success, and they don't want to leave their friends that they made when they were in the program. So just reach out and ask questions. Yeah. We are an open book. These ladies can tell you, I say what I mean what I say. I don't beat around the bush. And, if I feel like I can't help you, I'm going to let you know. But 99.9% of the time, you can make a massive difference in this program. So thank you everyone for being here, and we will see you on the next retreat session. Have a great day.